Hi, this is series 4 of Release Her, and today our guest is Saleemah, and this is Black Maternal Health Week. I'm so super excited about this topic today because as women, we definitely need to learn how to liberate our wounds. Saleemah, can you introduce yourself?
Absolutely. My name is Saleemah McNeil. I'm the founder and CEO of Ocean Family Center and the curator of the Maternal Wellness Village.
Thank you. So I want to thank you for being here.
Yes.
One. And I wanted to just kind of get into like what Savannah Wellness is about, how I began my journey with becoming a certified womb practitioner, and just allowing people to understand like how important it is on the holistic side of using certain products, being still, tapping into yourself, reconnecting, most importantly, with your womb. Yes, it's so important.
Absolutely.
So actually, going back to Savannah Wellness, Savannah is my last name.
Okay.
My husband is from Mali, and my first product that's like close and dear to my heart is the Her Sticks, which is the vetiver root. Game changer.
Yes.
This root literally changed my life in so many ways. I was introduced to the root by my sister-in-laws in between times of me trying to conceive my third son.
Okay.
I suffer from PCOS. So they've always told me like, infertility issues, all those kind of things kind of always been an issue for me. However, I cleaned my diet, was working out, really started tapping into myself, listening to what my body needed, taking the roots. After I started taking the roots, my girlfriends, I started sharing them with them. And they were like, oh my God, Khadija, what is this? And at the time, I'm like, well, I don't know. It's a stick. You just put it in your water and that's what it is, right? And so many women were like, oh my gosh, I was suffering from heavy bleeding. My menses stopped. It's not as heavy as it used to be. I had a lot of older women who were going through hot flashes. And they were taking the root for one thing and was like, but I noticed my hot flashes. And I'm like, absolutely. The root is a purifying root, and it's also a root that really helps correct things within, right? So it's the best herb that you would say for a woman's body in her womb.
Well, can we get down to the nitty gritty? Because I heard it's some wonderful things that happens. You got influencers, they have the root, and people are getting their life with it. So what is it about the root that women are now flocking to help rejuvenate?
Yes. Okay. So the root is basically, it has to become your lifestyle, right? You soak this herb in water.
Okay.
And one, you're going to increase your water intake because you're going to be drinking almost a gallon of water a day.
Wow.
It removes the body odor from you. It helps with vaginal dryness. It is especially good for a woman who's just had a baby. So that's why most moms who are friends or sisters who know someone who's had a baby, they always get the new mom box because they're like, women need to start here.
Right.
After you have their baby, cleansing the body. A lot of my customers and my clients had hysterectomies. And it's just like, okay, well, where do you begin to heal the inside?
Yeah.
The vetiver root.
Got you.
That's where you begin.
Oh, wonderful. I have mine. I have to soak it. I also got one of those new mom boxes because one of our esteemed village members is going to bring a life earthside. So she would have her vetiver root all together in her postpartum phase.
Good. And that's also how like I have Yanni soak, right? So I'm really big on, yes, I teach my women how to properly V-steam, right? However, I like to use the roots I like to use the soak and the herbs to have them soak in a bathtub.
Okay.
Because the whole part of when you're on a holistic journey, you have to make time, you have to slow down. And that's the thing. People are like, well, I'm not really sure if that's the route I want to go. And it's like, okay, well, this is the time to just slow down.
Right. Can you give some more tips on V-steaming? Because we've seen all celebrities on TV. They have these parties. They go sit on these pots. Some of them are plastic, glass, or wood. And it look like they're in like a whole body sauna. But I've talked to some healing practitioners and they're like, big no. So what are the goals?
One, if you think about it, it's very simple. You're not going to steam in plastic. Why? Because the moment that the hot water is poured into the plastic, the chemicals are released. So it's counterbalance. It's like the herbs in the plastic. What's the whole point of it then? Right. So you want also. I don't recommend that women steam in the bathroom. Why? unless you're bleaching your bathroom from top to bottom, which you're not, most likely you're not going to, it's just not clean. It's not clean enough. When you're V steaming is way bigger than, oh, I want to, work on vaginal dryness, or, oh, I want to. V steaming is really taking a moment to connect with yourself. You need to be in a space that the energy is clean. If someone is going to V steam you, you have to make sure that the energy between you two are on point. And you also want to make sure that, one, they're blending the herb that's for you. Because a lot of people think, oh, I can go to Amazon and I could just go buy Yanni Steam. That's not how it goes. Right. Each herb, people are allergic to herbs, and each herb is going to do something different. So exactly that day, what does your client need? So I always tell people, you don't necessarily have to come to me, but when you go to someone, make sure they're doing an intake on you. If there's no form for you to fill out, get out of there.
Oh, that's a word. Get out of there.
Get out of there.
Because we do the same thing with doctors. So at Ocean Family Center, we do a lot of work with the health system, helping people get connected to doulas, lactation consultants, and most importantly, from my perspective, therapists. I mean, I'm biased. But to know what questions to ask and what are the red flags. Again, if you go to your practitioner, you go to your OB and you're like, I want to do a VBAC, and they're like, absolutely not, without even hearing you out, then that's not the person for you.
I agree. And you know what? I think that having these platforms and also, creating a community for women, especially women who look like us, is such a big deal, because we need that support. We need to know that there's options. Right. And that's like, my whole goal is like, okay, I'm not to say that, oh, if you have a migraine, you shouldn't take Tylenol. But what I'm going to say is, if you have a migraine, I know we're business owners, we have children, go home, take a shower, get some shower steamers, take a second to literally breathe. Add some fresh eucalyptus into your shower. Why? Because eucalyptus removes all the bacteria out of the air, one. Two, it naturally it brings all the stress down, right? So it's very simple things that we can do that make it a part of our everyday life that will really help your headaches and your migraines.
Right. So please let people know about these shower steamers. Personally, my favorite. I have plenty of jars of it. So what are these magical shower steamers?
Yes. So I have eucalyptus and I have lavender. And the reason why I created the shower steamers came about from after I had my youngest child, who's 2 now. We're in the middle of a pandemic. No, everyone's home. I'm breastfeeding, and I'm like, I need a second. So I created the shower steamers, and it's like a bath bomb, but it's for the shower. You just place it on the floor of the shower, let the water hit it, and all the essential oils release into the air. Yeah. And the whole purpose of it is for you to just take deep breaths. And if you think about it, you're like, okay, well, usually I may be in the shower for 10 minutes, but when you have your shower steamer in there, you're like, okay, do I have another 5 minutes to stay here? You're taking it all in, and that's the point. The point is taking a minute to slow down.
My husband has to literally let the bathroom air out after I'm done because I'm in there, the hot water is going, and when I'm done, he's like, whoa, it's super hot in there. I'm like, it was like the best shower ever. And we both work out at the gym. Yep. Shout out to Alphas Only. Yes. And that is something that I found to be like super relaxing, especially on those recovery days where all my muscles are just doing their own thing. And it's been a really great product.
Thank you. And a lot of my clients, also children who have asthma, they take the kids in the bathroom and just turn the shower on, close the door, and just let the children just sit there and breathe in and out. And they're like, oh my gosh, that really helped them unwind before bed. And I'm like, yes. Yeah. It's just the little things.
I tell people that I am embarking on my 16th parenting anniversary, not my son's birthday. It's my parenting anniversary. Because when he was younger, he used to suffer with asthma. And that was one of the things that we used to do is like sit in the shower, have it be steamy and help him out. And it was mind blowing to me that he hasn't suffered with asthma in years, but he remembers that. Wow. And he was like telling somebody on the phone, like, oh, your asthma acting up. Just go to the shower. And it's just so amazing what children retain. Yeah. And so being able to add in those steamers, I'm pretty sure is like super helpful. And they'll remember that as well.
Absolutely. And you also want to create, with the memories with your children, you also just want to create, you want your home to be peaceful, especially with like everyone is suffering from anxiety with COVID, right? Yeah. The world's open back up. We're almost being forced back into the workplaces. And so many people in there are like having so much anxiety, even the children. Right. And I always tell parents all the time, like, just allow your child, like tell them, take deep breaths. It's okay. It's okay to go take a long bath.
Yeah.
It's okay. I'll throw some herbs in the bathtub and soak in a minute.
Listen, and to do that for the little people too, because they want to do it.
Because they want to do it.
And COVID has really like upped the ante for anxiety in terms of getting pregnant, going throughout your pregnancy and in that postpartum phase. Because once you have this human into the world, now it's like, oh my goodness, this big germ bubble that we live in. And so that isolation where you would technically have your village that's going to come love on you, love on that baby, make sure you're okay. Now it's super cautious. Maybe I can't have this person come over, or maybe I can't have that person come over. And that isolation starts to set in. And so what we do at our practice, one, I love to tell people all the time that we are for us, by us. Like, we are full of all clinicians that identify as a Black Indigenous person of color to help alleviate like that stressor of sitting down and talking to somebody who has no relevant life experience that can relate to you in any way, shape, or form. And that's how we've been working on the front line to help people deal with anxiety, especially in the postpartum phase.
Yeah, and that's what I'm so happy that you're speaking about that, because that's the journey that I'm on right now with my brand. My goal is to give Black women their voice back. A lot of us suffer from womb trauma. A lot of us suffer from postpartum depression in silence. A lot of us are still, unfortunately, we're not open to therapy yet. I mean, it's it's getting a lot easier. So it's just like creating a platform when we could talk about it. Like, it's not just you, right? And it's okay to go to a therapist, because I went to a therapist and it helped me. And people say, well, how did you get where you are? Because I put the work in.
Yeah.
And we have to. And we have to create platforms where we could talk about these uncomfortable conversations and show people like it's real to like come home and have this beautiful baby and not be happy.
Correct. 100%.
Your mother went through it. Your grandmother went through it. They may not be talking about it, but it's real. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it.
And it takes conversations, raising awareness, especially what we're doing for Black Maternal Health Week, so people can see that we aren't just the people behind the brand. Like, we are also the brand. Like, this is from us. This isn't from someone else that's putting us out there. Like, we have sat down and thought and really developed something that's for our people with womb care and mental health care, and utilizing both of those things as a modality of healing.
Absolutely. And people always say like, they're like, well, what is really severe wellness? They're like, well, who's your audience? And I'm like, my audience is me. And they're, well, what do you mean by that? I'm like, I'm a mother of 3 boys. I went through postpartum depression. I know what it's like to be married and feel like I just don't have it all at that moment. I know what it's like to be in a corporate world and feel like, okay, you just don't have it. But I'm still showing up. Right? And I'm going to bring awareness to everything that I went through in life to say that, okay, it happens and it's okay. And it's okay to talk about it.
Right. So let's get into this oil.
Yes.
What is the oil that you have?
Okay. So I have a few oils. I absolutely love the Peace Night Serum. The Peace Night Serum is a thing.
It's a whole thing.
Everyone loves the Peace Night Serum. So what it is eucalyptus and lavender. So all of my oils, I actually sit in all of the herbs for 6 to 8 weeks. Okay. So I sit them all on shelves and I let them kind of like brew. And so it's not much essential oils. Everything is coming from the actual herb that I use.
Oh.
And that's why a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, that oil really works. And it's like, yeah. Especially for children, you can actually burn it in an oil burner. And your whole home will smell like that. So I tell families to get on a routine. Right? And if your bedtime is 8 o'clock, go upstairs at 7 while you're giving baths, like the oil. You can also the oil is phenomenal for migraines. I have a lot of
those pressure points.
Yes. One of my clients, she's like, I put it in my purse, and sometimes when I get off of Zoom, I'm like, because sometimes you need to.
Oh, absolutely.
You need to. So yeah, I have that. And I have a whole, so it's called the Her Collection. And the Her Collection, I wanted to create products that I knew issues that Black women struggled with, right? Yeah. Especially different phases of their life. When they're going through a hormone shift, our bodies change. And a lot of people don't really want to talk about it. So I have like a Yanni oil that helps with vaginal dryness. And it's not to say like, oh, it's something wrong with you. No, you just may be going through a hormone shift.
Right.
Right? And you just may need a little oil. And instead of going to get a lube that you don't really know what it's made from,
Precisely.
you can go right back to the natural oil and just put a few drops and it'll take you a long way.
I love the fact that you extract the oils yourself. You put them together. Like when you say handmade, heart made, you made, like it's all you. You don't have some factory in the background producing these things. So every order is supporting a 100% Black owned business.
Absolutely. And even when there's, if like my bars, it took me months and months to find a chemist that I could work with hands on. So it's like, even all the way back to, and I tell people, it's so important to really know where your products are coming from, what kind of lifestyle the person lives, what space they're being made, because that's important.
Right. So they can get soap from you and be able to identify the ingredients, or they can go to another brand that may have a bird on the box and you can't pronounce anything that's in the soap.
Yep. And the chemist that I'm working with is like, so what are your girls saying? Because we can change this and we can change that. And that's comforting to know that I can actually pick up the phone and say, okay, the girls are okay with it, or we need to shift this a little bit, or we need to, even with working with a herbalist, even creating the Yanni bar that I just dropped, which is Blossom. I worked with a herbalist hands on, and I said, what herbs can we use to create this bar that will really benefit not only the vaginal area, but benefit the body?
Right.
And we sat down and we studied herbs.
It really does take a village.
It takes a village.
People see the brand, they see the luxury of it all, because you just exude Black luxury, and I love every bit of it. And people may think there's so many other factors that go into it, but this is like your baby, your brain power, and your intentionality of connecting with people who fill in the areas that you know are not your strength.
Absolutely.
Because that's what we're supposed to do.
And that's what you call building a brand. It is building a community. I'm very intentional about who I work with, who I let in my space, who helps me on which project, and it makes a difference. And you can feel it. You know, when the products are finished, you're like, wow. I'm even like, oh my gosh, this soap smells amazing. Yeah. And I'm like, oh God, that's just all the fresh herbs that we picked. This is a big deal.
Exactly.
It's a big deal.
If there's one thing that you can share with some of our healthcare professionals, from different doctors and midwives and doulas, lactation consultants, why should we use holistic medicine, holistic herbs to help heal the body?
My advice would be, and this is what I really, really want them to just kind of sit back and think about. And although we know that, you know, medicine and science have been here, but the roots and the herbs have been here way longer, right? And when you really sit back and you learn each root and you learn each herb and you see what the benefits, it's amazing. And the what I've done, this whole journey, what it's allowed me to do is to take a moment to reconnect with myself, right? So when you're because it may take you a little longer to be consistent, right? Consistent with using the product, or consistent with using the herb or drinking a certain tea to see the benefits. But the benefits will last way longer. And also when you sit down and you're like, I was so consistent, it allows you to say, you know what, I'm doing this for myself. So even if you have a doctor, or you have a nurse who's doing all these crazy hours, when you become intentional about taking care of yourself, everything else falls into place. It is so important. Just if people never give it a chance, but once you give it a chance, you're like, whoa, why haven't I been drinking these herbal teas and making tinctures this whole, like, why? Because you haven't taken the time to just really sit down and really seek the benefit of, like, wow, I didn't realize that it had amazing benefits like this.
Right. I try to tell people we can work in tandem. It doesn't have to be one or the other. It doesn't. Is there a place for medicine? Absolutely. Yep. Is there a place for holistic healing? 100%. And working together really gives the person who is receiving that care the best opportunity to heal in a way that will be long lasting.
Absolutely. And most people think that they don't have options.
Right.
And that's where I come in as a wound practitioner. It's like, let me just explain what your options are, right? And let me just explain to you all the benefits of each herb. So then you can say, let me educate myself. And when I go into the doctor's office, or when, I want to represent for myself, you know what to say. You know, I do have options. So you can use a little bit of this or use a little bit of that. And both things may really help heal you. but no one wants to take that time out to say like, okay, it's either this or that. It doesn't have to be.
Right. Have you ever talked to a healthcare provider and they ask you what you do and you say, I'm a womb practitioner?
And they kind of like turn their face up, their nose up a little bit. And it's kind of like, oh, so like, are you a doctor? Oh, okay. Well, do you work in a hospital? And it's like, no, I don't work in a hospital, but I have a community of women that I work with.
That you help heal.
That I help heal. And you can actually look at their resume and see all of the different feedback that I've gotten from women who, like I have one woman who was supposed to, they wanted her to get a hysterectomy. And she actually used the vetiver root and they're drinking different teas and, you know, changed her diet and she didn't have to get a hysterectomy anymore. Nice. And she felt like she didn't have any other option. And she's a young woman. She wasn't even 30 years old.
Oh, that's a testimony.
And she felt like she was like, I just like someone sent me your way. She's like, I'm so grateful. She was like, because they almost kind of forced her to schedule her appointment. And it was like, so this is what it's going to be. And it just happened to be a few months down the line. So as she was talking to the community, they were just like, no, you have options. Right. Let's figure this out for you. And she had time to figure it out.
And why not just try? Before you snitch out a whole uterus, see if there's another modality of healing that could work. Because what's the worst that can happen? It works. Right.
And that's what usually happens. It works.
What other products do you have?
So I have Blossom and Bloom. Blossom is the Yanni bar. Bloom is the Yanni gel.
Oh, that's cute.
Very, very, very sensitive. And the reason why I named it Blossom and Bloom, because I want women to feel liberated. Like I want women to say, I am blossoming and blooming down here. When I am showering, after I get my wax, whatever you get, you're like, I feel free. And that's what this is about. I also have the Her Collection, which is, I have the Yanni oil. I have another roll-on. And it's the libido oil, and it's to give you that.
Razzle dazzle.
Yes. And I want women to get in tune with. You can touch yourself, and it doesn't have to be in a sensual way or a sexual way. Right. It could be. I'm taking this time. I'm going to oil myself. I'm going to oil my whole body. I'm going to roll on, and I'm going to feel good because that's what all of my products is about: reconnecting with yourself.
Yeah.
Forcing women to kind of take a second to reconnect.
Absolutely. And that can be helpful because so many women in their self-care practices get waxes. And I think they forget that that's also skin too. And you have to take care of it. And so why not make a whole practice out of taking care of yourself, mind, body, skin, and soul, so everything can flow a whole lot better.
Absolutely. And it goes a long way. And I mean, you have some women who like, you know, they're a little older and they're like, I just don't know why I wasn't doing this years ago. It's like, because no one told you and no one was talking about it. That's why. Right. But I'm here to talk about it. I have the eucalyptus shower steamers. I have the lavender shower steamers. And I have the eucalyptus shower plant, which is absolutely amazing.
Yes.
Absolutely amazing. If you don't have a shower plant, you need to get one because it's a need for it. And I also have rose mist, which is a rose. It's kind of like rose water for your skin, but I created it just for the vaginal area because I want women to get out of spraying perfume and body splashing themselves.
Oh, goodness. Yes.
Let's get away from that because it can mess your pH
Throw
up.
you all the way off.
You're thinking you're doing something and you're harming yourself. So let's just spray a little rose water on you. We call it rose mist. Giving them that, okay. I can still, because some women I think are just used to certain things. Like, oh, I was raised, my mom's been always doing. It's like, okay, well, if you're so used to just, let's just go the natural way, though.
Right. Because we would like you to have a cutoff where you don't down there. But, you just get into the motion of like, this is a part of the routine. You spray your entire body, but not really understanding the impact that it has on your womb and how, you function from day to day. So that's really good. I know we talked about that before because there's a lot of ladies who go to the gym and it's like, hey, you need a little refresher. Get your spritz on with this rose water.
And it helps. And I mean, the ladies at the gym can tell you, they live by it, swear by it. When they're like out, they're like, can you bring some to the gym? I'm like, okay, absolutely.
Y'all gotta see Khadijah walking into the gym with all the stuff that people have orders. It's amazing.
I'm like, I'm trying to get to the gym on time, guys. I have to get there right now. And I also have my mom box. And my mom box is like close and dear to my heart because each product I created was when I was on my journey. I have a 9-year-old, a 4-year-old, and a 2-year-old. And in between the 4-year-old and 2-year-old, it was a time of when I was determined not to lose myself. And I needed to do things that was for me, right? And still being a mom. One of the things also with me having PCOS, I was always told that I couldn't breastfeed. So I was very determined to be a successful mom at breastfeeding. And I was. I breastfed both of my children. Thank you. My two youngest children, my youngest went 2 years and a few months, and I was like, enough.
Yeah.
Like, okay, milk, enough. So I have Lactation Tea blend that I make. A lactation oil that you rub on your breast just to help stimulate, your breast. And I have the vetiver root, which helps the moms like cleanse themselves, but also get their water intake in.
Good.
And like the nipple balm and the soak in after, your baby. But my whole point and purpose is just to show women like life happens, but we don't have to lose ourselves in it.
Right.
And you can be a mom and still love up on yourself. And you can be a CEO and still love up on yourself. Sometimes, and we go back to people feel like they have to pick. Right. It's like I have to be a really good mom, but I can't love myself. Like I can't take 5 minutes out for myself because that's going to make me a bad mom. It's not true. You actually teaching your children like, oh, my mom went to the gym, so it's no big deal what mommy is saying. Let's go for a morning walk because it's a part of our lifestyle.
Yeah. And that being a part of the lifestyle is what I work with my clients on a lot of the time, because you get so lost in motherhood because it's your responsibility to now feed, nurture, and keep this little person alive. Even your support systems have to sometimes tell you, let's work together. I can help you. You can take a moment to take care of yourself. You can go get your hair done, your nails done. You can go to therapy if you need to. But we are so hard on ourselves that we see those areas as weaknesses. And if we're not doing everything that we can for our family, for our spouses, for our kids, then it's like, oh, we're doing something wrong.
Can you talk a little more about Black Maternal Health Week?
Oh, absolutely. So on Monday, April 11th, we're going to have a Perinatal Health Symposium that's hosted by Temple University. So get down there.
Okay.
Our video will be released on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we're having yoga in West Philly. On Thursday, we're doing something really special, which is our Good Vibes and Paint fundraiser. So come out to help support our efforts to continue planning things for Black Maternal Health Week. And then Friday, we are ending it off at the amazing Discovery Center to have a birth worker brunch where doctors, nurses, lactation consultants, womb practitioners will all come together to have fun and brunch together to learn more about what we all do. So we are super excited. Thank you so much for having me.
And thank you for like creating a platform and community for us as womb practitioners and doctors and nurses, because it's necessary.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yes.
I don't need validation to tell me who I am. I have lived the situation.